dude, haven't had you on, but had you out here several
That's
times.
true.
So finally do the podcast. So I appreciate it.
Of course, my
Big
pleasure.
Dan. Um, so for people that are unfamiliar with you, so you have kind of in a lot of ways come out of nowhere as far as how much experience overall you have in jiu-jitsu
It's true.
and
Yeah,
getting to the like the pinnacle, the top of the sport relatively quickly.
that's
So
true.
what's that been like?
Well, I mean, if you ask me, like how my training has been, so I started when I was 16, uh, at a small gym in Pennsylvania, and at the age of 17, I realized this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and it was actually because I saw Gordon start to make money in it. I'm like, okay, if Gordon can do it, I'm gonna give it a shot too, right? Like he kind of provided the blueprint that there might be money in the sport, and I started when I was 17, 17 to 18, trained in New York City with Danaher. 18 and a half, moved to Puerto Rico, 19 to 19, my late 19 years old, stayed in Puerto Rico. That was a disaster. We stayed there for 9 months. Then when I was about to turn 20, we moved to Austin. Now I'm 23, been in Austin for the last 3 years. So
So that for some people, like you compressed a lot of where I was at in that period of time. We're talking 7 years total,
yeah,
two-time ADCC veteran. Okay. I will say that you're beating people that are black belts without being a black belt, which is kind of in a way it kind of works out. The amount of time you're in is pretty typical of a purple belt,
that's true. Yeah. I mean, hopefully not a purple belt for much longer. But
right?
yeah, I don't, yeah, I am a purple belt. I got an ADCC medal and I'm a purple belt. So
So
should be, I don't know what to say to that.
it's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. So that kind of brings me into this where you're at. You are a unique athlete with your size, with your physical attributes. And there's nothing that a big guy hates hearing more than, "Oh yeah, well, you felt really strong. Oh yeah, your pressure is really good."
I'm just happy when
Almost like
people
that.
I'm happy when people call me strong. It's the
That's
best
cool,
compliment ever.
but it seems almost like, yeah, but no brainer. There's also something there to it. Like you're not a big guy that's laying on people and stalling out for points. You're a big guy that's inverting, that's attacking all the time, that's moving, that's working the wrestling, the guard game, everything. So that's not typical, but do you feel like that takes away your size, takes away from your technical ability and people's perception?
Well, people are always going to think whatever they want to think, right? There's plenty of people who think that I'm an absolutely terrible person, and there's other people who like me, you know? So no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody saying one thing, somebody saying another thing. People asking like, why do I play guard and shit? It's really just a force of habit because when I first started jiu-jitsu, I've been the same size since I was like 17, right? Stopped growing when I was 15. So since I was 17, I was like 280. And nobody wanted to train with me if I was on top. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to play guard. Like people think that
Fair.
there's this big, long, winded explanation for it. It's just force of habit. It's just what I ended up doing, and I was good at it. And John refined on it. But now it's starting to look more like, all right, it's time to start putting weight on people.
Yeah.
So
Is that what you're seeing now? You go from like a hobbyist quickly to competitor, and in that competitor space, you've got the guys that are the 30-year-old, the 28-year-old that maybe wrestled a little bit, big guy, maybe played like college football or something. You've got those guys, and then you've got the different kind of animals, the people that are made very, very different like yourself. How are you finding the ability to train so that you can meet those guys in the finals? Because those are the guys you're seeing in the top five. Those are not the guys you're seeing in the entry level of events.
yeah. So what exactly you asked me? I'm sorry.
So like how do you prepare for someone your size, prepare for someone your size, a big person that's also equally strong, that's also
And there's
skilled,
not that many in the
because you're
training.
not seeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, unfortunately, it's just the reality of the world is that it's going to be hard for me to find training partners. Right? I got guys I could train with, but none of them are 300. They're just
Right.
not right. Um. So how do I deal with that? Really, it's not about your training partner. It's more about how good you make yourself roll. The best example is Roger Gracie. Hodger Gracie. I gotta get rid of my
No,
honest.
you can say, Roger,
Yeah.
this is Texas.
No, I'm gonna get fucked up. He's gonna go through the door. But um what it really comes down to, right, is like look at what Hodger did. He had no training partners. He only had his students and he still won world championships, right? You
Right.
think that any of his students were as big as his or as good as him? Absolutely not. But he made it work with what he had. So it's really about how good you decide to make yourself, not about your training partners.
The intentional with your training as well.
Yeah, being intentional, training with a purpose.
So how do you incorporate that for yourself? Like if you were gonna say, hey, I'm gonna train right now for an event. I can't get any training partners. I've got my students. Maybe one or two of them's a big guy, but they're my students. They're blue
Yeah.
belts or purple belts. You know, what would you do to set yourself up for, hey, I've got 3 weeks to get ready for this?
Yeah. So the best thing I would say is to find a way to make it hard for yourself. You only allowed to do one technique. You have all of your students Shark Tank you put yourself in a bad position. Keep getting fresh guys over and over again. You're gonna do great for 5 minutes, but you're not gonna be good at the 10-minute mark.
Right.
And that's what you should do if you don't have good training partners.
Just push yourself cardio wise,
Yeah.
limitations on your training.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you've been doing
Pretty
this
much. Yeah.
whole time, right?
Yeah, but
You
it's
got
not bad. You got worse problems. You could always be 5'4". That would suck, right? Sorry.
So you could always be 5'10" going against guys your size. All right, well, this is different.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the first time you and I ever rolled. It was you were just recovering from meniscus surgery.
Just had a meniscus repair. Yeah.
Yeah, you had meniscus repair,
Oh, and I broke your neck.
and then you broke my
I'm
neck.
sorry. That was bad. Yeah, I did. That was a bad one. Your neck just went. I'm like, oh shit.
No, that I think I owe you $40. That's like the simplest chiropractic exam I've ever
That's true.
had.
I'm still waiting on the $40.
Indeed. So, but that to me, that was a big wake up call of I go with big guys all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and I've competed at a high level as far as masters division,
Yeah.
things like that, super fights. And when I did a round with you playing around just fresh off of surgery, I was like, this is not even a person. This is not a real thing. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work. Awesome. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work. You know that. So that's a real thing that I still take to my students, you know, and talk to them about like there's no matter how good you are, no matter how strong you are, there's going to be someone bigger and stronger out there. And you got to hope that they're willing to let go when you tap, you know.
Sounds like when I train with my boy Ty. He's my height, 350 pounds, and can do full splits. It's like fighting a bull. There's no technique, just hatred. I'm like, okay.
What's what has that been like for you for now coaching though? The other side of it, you know, you got training,
Yeah.
but for coaching, do you feel like that's maybe puts off some students that you're so big? Like, well, how could he
Yeah,
teach
so
me?
my business partner, which I went to open a school with, actually told me, he's like, Dan, here's the thing, you are fucking terrifying, and people don't know you, and when they see you, they're like, oh, look at this giant guy.
Pre-existed,
Yeah, like he's like this giant guy who competes at a high level in jiu-jitsu that shoots on the weekends and takes his truck in the mud, and gets stuck most of the time. It's like but people don't know when they actually talk to me. It's, oh, he's such a sweet guy, right? So I'm like, when students first see me, I was like, yep, I'm gonna be your jiu-jitsu instructor. It's like, fuck.
Thanks, Shrek.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Shrek, Professor Shrek. But then it's like when people actually get to learn from me, they realize that they're learning from the source. They're learning from me, who learns directly from Dan or her, who's the best instructor. So when people actually get to learn from me, they realize that they're learning something good, not just big man jujitsu. And that'll show itself over time, right? With my instructional videos, with my private lessons. And the cool thing about coaching is I have a firm belief that coaching makes you better at jujitsu,
Absolutely.
because I feel like you learn something twice: the first time somebody teaches it to you, and the first time you teach it to somebody else.
Absolutely. You learn a much more complete view of it because you have to troubleshoot other physical attributes, mobility, everything.
And then you also make what's subconscious conscious. Because a lot of jujitsu you don't think about, but then you have to teach it, you make it conscious.
You're like, oh, I don't realize I'm passing this leg a little bit out of the way, or
Yeah.
I'm moving my knee. Yeah.
Then you have to teach it to somebody else. Oh wait, I was doing this entire time.
That, that is a really cool thing about teaching. I tell students when they feel like they're plateauing, how about have you tried you teach this to your partner a little bit, like go back and show them this technique instead of you just drilling, why don't you show it to them,
Yeah.
break things down verbally. And is there any other kind of tricks that you've found help with instruction, or are you still trying to
Just
figure that out? I
time.
mean, you're
Just
very
time. Yeah, I mean, the thing about becoming a teacher is the same as like jiu-jitsu. You never stop being a better teacher, and you never stop being a better competitor, right? Well, yes,
definitely
you get
stop
what
being
I'm
a better
saying. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but you get what I'm saying though. Like it's a constant growth, right? So where I am in my ability to teach a year ago is different than my ability 2 years ago, and it's different 6 years ago. And I'm sure that 1 year from now, I'm gonna look back at myself and be like, damn, you didn't know shit,
100%.
and then vice versa as time goes on. So um I think that it really is just time and attention to detail.
With that detailed way that you teach though, like one of the things that I notice is you break things down the way John does.
Yeah.
You you will use a lot of the same verbiage, like, getting a purchase on this, or a
Yeah.
robust grip on the leg, or whatever. Um, Same from Gordon, same from Gary.
Yeah. Everybody brings their own style to it, though.
So what do you think? Are you at the point right now where you have already, or you're starting to develop like the Dan flavoring mixed in with those core ingredients?
I mean, everybody's going to teach a little bit differently, right? We all learn from the same teacher, so we're all going to teach kind of like our teacher. But Gary teaches different than John. Nicholas teaches different than John. Gordon teaches different than John. Luke, Giancarlo, they all teach different
Right.
than John, just a little bit different. And of course, I teach a little bit differently. My my explanations aren't necessarily as long. I try to keep it shorter, just toward the shorter end of things,
Mhm.
and more to the point. Not saying that they don't do that. It's just if there was a style of teaching that I took, it would be that.
That
But
makes
everybody
sense.
teaches completely different. Gordon's the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Gordon will spend an extra 5 minutes just breaking down one detail,
One piece.
even more than John. So,
Do you feel like maybe that's the way you teach is a little bit like the way that your progress has been, the way that you learn? Like you learn quickly.
yeah,
You kind of
it's just
cut
different.
out the fat.
It's just different. It's everybody's language is a little bit differently. If you're conveying the same message, that's all that really matters. Just everybody just teaches a little bit differently, as long as you're not using that ecological bullshit.
So that brings us so for people that watch this regular that don't understand what's going on with the
Yeah,
ecological thing, you got into a little like debate
yeah.
with Greg Souders over him saying that if I'm again, I know that I can't say this correctly. If I was to
The
try to
issue is they don't
describe,
they don't even know how to describe it
that's the
correctly.
thing. If I was going to describe ecological jiu-jitsu learning methods or whatever the way they want me to, I apparently don't even understand what the words mean
Yeah,
in
and you're
themselves
low
or
IQ,
definition. Yeah,
and you
because
need
I'm
to go read
stupid.
a book, and yeah,
But essentially, what it is saying, hey, instead of us just drilling a move step by step, traditional old school armbar, I grab the wrist, I grab the bicep, I grab the shoulder, I fling my leg, all the stuff. Instead of doing it like that, it's talking about putting your technique that you've learned into a game so that you can apply it with some resistance, some kind of goal. That's what they're essentially trying to get people to do, but say that's the only way to learn.
yeah. And they say it's the only way, right? And then whenever they try to argue with us, they're like, "Oh, but you guys use constraint-based learning." I'm like,
But
"Yeah,
we do, yeah.
no shit, we do." And guess what? We've done it for a while, but guess what? We also add in drilling to it. My favorite part of this whole ecological shit was when I had a conversation with John about it, and John told me about how when Greg went to a tournament, he brought Rob Gray with him, and Danaher sat down with Rob Gray and had a conversation about this, and he told John and Rob had a conversation. And he's like, yeah, we do constraint based learning. Obviously, I'm probably butchering the fuck out of this,
Right,
right?
right.
But
Second.
he said that we do constraint based learning, but we also add in life techniques so you know what to do. And in John's words, he said Rob was a very reasonable guy. He's like, yeah, that probably makes a lot of sense for how you learn jujitsu. So the guy which all these ecological boys suck their dick, Rob Gray, is just like agreeing with Danaher, right? But of course, they're never gonna say that. And it's just so stupid. They have all of these athletes that are all, and I'm not talking about any of their athletes whatsoever. So don't
With the
think that.
Corbett brother and
Yeah, they're
things like
great.
that.
They're great people.
Yeah.
They're great people, right? But they were already developed before they came to Greg.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's
So it's
already
like
there's already a knowledge
there's already a
base.
flame. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's already a framework for your jujitsu. So it's like they're trying to use like an AI based learning model. You know how AI fucks up over and over again to find like the best line and
Mhm.
stuff. But the thing is, AI could do millions of things at once. Humans could do maximum like 7 things at once. So the thing is to get good using their method takes with no framework takes so much time that it just makes no sense. And the thing is, the dude's just a professional con artist, right? Like look at the way he speaks to people. Look at the way he treats people. He just treats people like shit, tries to act like he's smarter than everybody else. Like he did a podcast with Dr. Mike Istratel,
Mhm.
and like Mike just shat all over him and trying to educate a guy with a PhD on his field. Like what?
Right, right.
It's like you think you're smarter than this guy because you read a couple of books.
Well, I mean,
Unbelievable.
I everybody uses ecological learning in jiu-jitsu and wrestling and judo because you do actually have to try to use
Yeah,
the
but
technique.
imagine trying to do a fucking technique without having somebody tell
No,
you
you
at
would get hurt.
first.
Or you would never know how to like, well, how do I teleport myself to this magical position we're trying to talk about?
Yeah, and the best part was Greg used to train in New York with John,
Okay.
and he's like, "Wow, John, this is like the best. Like I've never seen anything like this. Like you guys, I've learned so much in my time being here." And he goes back and says, "Yeah, all that was just useless. Like I never learned anything." Right? Or like with him and with Lloyd Irvin, right? Like he spent years under Lloyd, right? And just to say that everything that was taught was just useless. Like, come on, bro. Like, do you really even believe the things that you're saying?
Hmm. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is weird like that, right?
Yeah, it's like you got literally like the greatest of all time, Gordon Ryan, showing you how to do technique, right?
But it's
And
not
then,
right.
but it's not right.
Right.
And the greatest of all time,
Or it's being taught incorrectly.
yeah, and the greatest of all time is being taught incorrectly. The greatest of all time is doing it wrong. And you got some random dude who's never really done anything in jujitsu. Yeah, the greatest of all time is doing it completely wrong.
Well, isn't that pretty typical across the board with everything?
No, it's not, because think about it. If you're just the guy which hasn't done anything in boxing, right? And like, yeah, Mike Tyson doesn't know how to throw a punch. He was throwing a punch all wrong. I know way more than him.
Mhm.
That guy would just get, what are you, fucking stupid? You know? So like,
That's fair.
right?
That's
Like,
fair.
it's
That's
like, what
fair.
are you, fucking stupid?
I
Mike
guess I
Tyson
think
knows more
the
than you do.
attitude
Yeah.
itself is pretty typical, but you're right.
But
you're
it's like the response would be like, what are you, fucking stupid? You know, like, what are you doing?
But I
And then-
guess that also speaks to how small jiu-jitsu is, community wise. Like everybody's within 2 degrees of knowing somebody because everybody's got like a black belt coach or
yeah,
whatever.
all that. But
So they can put that opinion out
the
there.
thing that people are actually taking this guy seriously, and the guys which all are advocating for ecological approach, all look exactly the same, because they're all like out of shape, never really won anything, like can't really even grow a beard. You know, there's this one guy who always comments on my shit, MNNA Nakmuai or whatever, and he like just lost to like a random white belt in a tournament when he was trying to say, I don't know how to coach or compete, right? Like it's hilarious. And like, man, it's just all Tom DeBlas actually said it the best. He's like, getting good at jujitsu is hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Like trying to get good at teaching
Yeah.
technique, good at competing, all that stuff. Then you got these guys with the ecological approach, just saying, oh yeah, just do these games, it'll make you better than all these other guys who have dedicated their life to the sport. Like, come on, man. I'm all for evolution and teaching and growth and everything, but it's like, you're gonna tell me like Steph Curry did? I don't even know. They did the math on how many shots he did to become the greatest shooter in the
Yeah.
NBA. You're gonna tell me that this dude didn't do it right?
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just unbelievable. Fake intellectuals, man. That's it.
I mean, essentially what he's doing is doing the Kit Dale learning model that he put out 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Look,
You know, the task-based games, but you already know how to do the moves.
yeah,
so the
you already
games
know how to
make
do
sense.
It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty dumb. I think at this point, everybody is doing their best to make jujitsu harder than it has to be. You know, there's all why you're saying, everybody's talking different ideas about this is the right way to learn. This is the right way to learn. I mean, you just look at the best guys and you pick the style that you want to do and you follow that, and they're all being taught pretty close to the same thing.
And also think about like applying whatever's. I'm probably never gonna say. They're always gonna say that I'm saying it incorrectly. Imagine applying his train of thought to any aspect of your life, right? Like let's talk about like shooting.
Don't have any skills.
Here you go.
just do it.
Here's a pistol.
Okay. Yeah.
Figure it out. Get it on the bullseye.
Right.
Okay, but what if you have somebody tell you, first off, gun safety, right? It's like someone's gonna be getting shot if you try the ecological approach to shooting. You have somebody teach you gun safety. They teach you how to hold a gun. They teach you how to pull the trigger. They teach you how to line up the sights, and then you might actually, with live training, which is shooting, might get somewhere, right?
And
Just
then
give
you're
somebody
gonna have to make adjustments on, hey, you're over gripping here, you're pulling the trigger back, you're slapping the trigger, you got too much trigger, you got too
bend
little
your arm
trigger.
39 degrees.
Yeah. 30 degrees.
Fucking guy.
No, it is what I think everybody's gonna always try to reinvent the wheel, put their own spin on it, especially when money's involved. You
Yeah,
know,
these people are trying to say they're not making it for money. The thing is, right, and here's the best thing I got to show why the ecological approach isn't what it needs to be. If I came up with a learning method that was vastly better than anything else out there, vastly better than anything else out there, to a degree of which like everything else was just useless,
Mhm.
you think I would be telling the world? Hell no. I would only be telling my students and only have them do it because everything else is nonsense. Have them win all the ADCC world championships, all the IBJJF world titles, right? And then after that, tell them, hey, this is what we're doing
And then
differently.
sell that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're selling a product before they have a result.
Mm,
You see? They're
no,
selling a
that makes
product
sense.
before I have a result. Get the results first, then sell a product. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I'm all for everything that makes jiu-jitsu better, but it's just not the truth.
How do you feel that, like, do you feel like sometimes guys like that would maybe they're minimizing your opinion on it because, like, well, he's 23 years old, you know, like,
Yeah, I'm 23, but I'll tell you what, man, I've been on that EDCC stage twice. I've been on the Fight Pass Invitational stage. I've won trials twice. I've done enough to know what's what in jiu-jitsu. If there's anybody who's almost an expert on the subject matter, it's me. And if I'm not an expert, I could ask my teammates, which are definitely experts.
1,000%,
So, or
thousand
ask my
percent.
teacher, who's definitely an expert on it, right? So it's just fake intellectuals are just trying to make some money and try to make a name for themselves. That's
Yeah,
it. I
makes
gave
sense.
him the biggest platform he's ever had in his life, unfortunately. That's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. But now people just make fun of him. So.
Oh man, so the success with this, I mean, the fact that you've got a platform, I saw that you'd taken a picture out in front of WWE. Like,
Yeah.
why not? If we're trying to do capitalize on physical attributes, intellectual ability, knowing how to train, why not do something like trying to get into football, doing WWE, something like that, where you can maybe make a little more money and it be more stable and predictable in a way than jujitsu competition.
Man, I just love jujitsu. That's it. Like I had a very good conversation with the WWE, right? They invited me into their headquarters. No, you don't just get into their
For sure.
headquarters unless there's a good conversation to be had. And me and the WWE, we had a conversation. They gave me an offer and I said, I'm sorry, I can't do this right now. The reason being was because I love jujitsu. Like I'm just really happy doing it. Like I don't really want to do anything else. Like I know plenty of people that have money. I know plenty of famous people. I know guys which have all these things going on for them, but in reality, they're just miserable, right? And for me, doing jujitsu, having my academy, competing, it's good enough for me. I make enough money. I don't need anything too crazy. Like I do want to be rich one day, but it's like at what cost,
Huh.
right? Like, yeah, sure, if I go into the WWE, I'll be making a lot of money, but I also won't be able to do what I love. And I can't really put a price on what I enjoy doing. Can't put a price on teaching my students, seeing them do better. Can't put a price on going out in a competition and doing something positive.
It's really it's refreshing. It's weird. But it's refreshing to hear someone your age already kind of have things in line, or at least have a vision to where they want to go that they're content with. Because most people, you would say your age, are uh wandering a little bit maybe, and outside of that they're uncommitted. Like, I'm dealing with 20-year-olds all the time that, I want to do this thing, and they never even show up for that one thing. Not even to put the one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I love this thing, and then they disappear from the thing. I'm trying to do
It's
this, and
been
the
the
next
same
thing you
since I
know,
was
they're doing
17.
something else.
It's been the same since I was 17. I've been on the same road since I was 17. It never changed.
What
You
what
know?
what drives you to do that?
I don't know. Stupidity, I guess. It's weird. I just couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. People always ask me, it's like, why'd you decide to do jiu-jitsu full time? Why did you go 8 hours each day from Pennsylvania to New York City to be able to train with John? I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I just enjoyed it. And I just wanted to give it a shot. And if going 4 hours each way to get from middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania to New York City was the way, then so be it.
Yeah, but there has to be something in your upbringing that drove you like that. Because I don't know people. I know people that work hard because they had nothing, because nothing was given, nothing was even expected, and they just had to go out and make it
I
happen.
mean,
And I
it
know
is
people
true
that were
that
given stuff, and they're like, "Hey, I'm tired of being given stuff. I want to do it on my own. I don't want to have to rely on these other people anymore. I want to carve my own path."
well, I had to carve my own path because my parents are poor. They're Romanian immigrants. They came to the country with nothing. Like both my parents, they worked in restaurants, like under the table, not making
Right.
anything. Right. So it's like now, like ever since I was young, it's not like we grew up with money. Everything I ever had, I had to do on my own. Like paid for my own training, paid my way to New York. Like it wasn't easy, but I feel like it builds character. Like nowadays, I got kids that I train and stuff, and like they're complaining about going 30 minutes
Yeah.
to go train at
Yeah.
Hensley's, right? And I see them, I just want to smack them
Yep.
because if I was their age and all I had to do was drive half an hour to go train with Danaher, man, I would have been so happy. I had to go 4 hours on a bus.
I
Two
get it.
like the straight up like I'm 6'7". I've been 6'7" for a while. A bus is smaller than an airplane. Imagine that for a second though. In Pennsylvania to New York, and you're here complaining about being in your own car
For 30 minutes.
for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
In your own car.
Sometimes 30 minutes round trip.
So yeah, like, it's you're complaining. I'm like, I can't respect like I it just has nothing to me. I just hate you. That's it. And there's plenty of kids like that which complain about, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that to get the training. Oh, but my parents pay for my training, and it's like, I wish my parents paid for my training. I wish I had my own car. I didn't have my own car until I moved to Austin because I just was able to save up a couple of dollars. Puerto Rico, I had a car, but it broke down all the time. I had no money. I had nothing in Puerto Rico. I think I had less than $400 in my bank account
Man.
when I was 19. Mo Jassim paid for everything. Like I had nothing at all. Dude, Puerto Rico was such a fucking dry spell. You couldn't even teach private lessons out there because nobody had money, right? So
Right.
it's like
This is during
maybe
COVID. Yeah.
during COVID. I don't even speak the language, right? So I had no money whatsoever. Moved to Austin, I finally had enough money saved that I could buy a car. I bought this old piece of shit Toyota Camry, right? And
Great Uber car.
great Uber car. But like I had everything I had to do basically on my own. When I was in Puerto Rico, Mo Jassim took good care of us though. Can't say enough good things about him, but when I see people like say, oh, like, yeah, I have so much to worry about, but then it's like you have your parents paying your rent, your parents bought you a car, and you only have to go 30 minutes to go to the gym. I hate you.
How about, you work a 9 to 5 in an office with air conditioning,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know? Yeah.
it's
I'm so tired when I get home. I don't want to do anything, so I can't make it to training. Like, okay, that's cool.
good on you. Yeah, it's just
Yeah. That what's become some of your favorite excuses now to hear as a coach? When people walk in, they do their trial class or they don't show back up. Some good ones,
favorite
right?
excuses. Yeah. I guess it's too far, right?
It's too far, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
just like,
so obviously you're going,
yeah,
fuck you. That's not too
yeah,
far.
it's not too far. Like, shut the fuck
Yep.
up.
No, there's people here that go, oh man, well you're my house is I'm on the south side of Midland. It's like, so you're 15 minutes
Yeah,
away from this place.
yeah.
Like if
It's
you
just
lived
an
in
hour away.
Austin, you could be 1 mile away, it'd take you half an hour. So,
I just That's a good one. My wife won't let me. That's a good one.
oh, that's a great
That's a
one.
great one.
Which I know that's a cop out because no wife wants to have a husband that's fat, out of shape, unmotivated, can't defend her, can't defend himself, looks like a fucking bag of milk. No wife wants that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good one. Uh, yeah, that's really those are my favorite excuses. It's too far. My wife won't let me. I'm just like, all right, man. Like
I,
this ain't for you.
when I hear I don't have time, that's my the
I
adult
don't have
version.
time. Yeah, I
That's
don't
the
have time
adult
to do.
version of my dog ate my homework.
Yeah, I don't have time. You got time, bro. You got plenty of
You've
time.
had time for a lot of
Yeah,
bullshit. Yeah.
you got time to drink. You got time to go out partying, all that stuff.
Yeah, those are good ones. How much of that, do you have the patience for that right now? Because it's not going to go away. It's going to get worse.
I have such minimal patience. I guess fucking Danaher's rubbing off on me. Fuck. Like when I see certain things, I'm just like, I just it, the this dry. There's nothing. Just there's no like there's no sympathy. There's just nothing there. You know, the patience is like zero. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm not gonna like freak out on him. I'm just be like, dude, you're just useless.
It's that's gonna be the thing for you that probably be difficult to navigate teaching, running a school, because
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it
everyone's
so
got
far.
excuses. Everybody's got the excuses. Everybody's got those. It never runs out.
I can't wait. Can't wait because this is gonna be my career. So can't wait.
Oh man, what's that? What do you think that's looking like for you competitively? I mean, guys that are heavyweights, they age like wine. You know, you still get good at heavyweight in
Yeah,
combat sports all the way through your late 30s. So you've got a long career of teaching and coaching ahead of you
that's true.
with the competitive side. How are you going to be trying to find balance? Because you have to be selfish to be a competitor a little
It's
bit.
not hard, man. It's really not. It's like, think about it. I train during the day,
Mhm.
and then at night I go home to my academy and teach there. Teaching doesn't take anything out of me. It doesn't bother me none, right? You got to coach your students. You just make sure that they're all right, and
Workload doesn't really not going to really change for you or anything.
yeah, it's not really. It's like I'm either gonna be teaching private lessons or because that's how I got to make money,
Right.
right? Or I'm gonna be teaching at my school. So teaching is always gonna be a part of being a competitor, especially in jujitsu. Because again, what do we say? You learn something twice. The first time somebody teaches it to you, the first time you teach it to somebody else. I got to teach.
Yeah.
I got to make money somehow. I got to pay for my training, pay for my career.
With the teaching side, I mean, you've already brought up the level of coaching that you've been exposed to
Yeah,
ever since you moved from Pennsylvania. With that, it's not just the level of coaching, but it's the level of coaching from a guy that's a philosophy guy. You know, what's the philosophical lessons? It's like, what's the one that stuck with you the most?
philosophical lessons from John are
Yeah.
probably not things that I want to teach on camera. So
Nice.
just saying that,
Nice.
yeah, he's taught it, but I guess really what John taught us, and you can't really appreciate it until all is like said and done, but was Danaher's fortitude for teaching. Like, keep in mind, the dude's been doing this for like close to 30
Right.
years, right? Is it doing it for close to 30 years, straight up
Crippled.
crippled,
Yep.
like just straight up crippled. Like, you're injured right now. Like, he's been that way since he was 19 years old. So it's like John had a botched surgery when he was a kid that shortened his leg, right?
Mhm.
So like he can't extend his leg.
So now
That took
everything
out everything, just went goodbye with that.
structurally, yeah.
And then he's been doing all of this while straight up crippled, bad everything. Every once in a while he'll be like, yeah, I have 2 torn shoulders. We're like, what? John took his rash guard off once when he was and he had a like a bone sticking out here. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It's crazy. So for him, it's just like the straight up resilience, and being able to teach and train for all that time is unbelievable.
I can relate.
Yeah.
I can definitely relate. Does what kind of things rub off on you from maybe the other guys on your team? Because again, you're growing up. You're becoming an adult around
Yeah.
professional athletes, coaches, celebrities in some cases. You know, like that. It's a weird way to go through your 20s.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, they definitely rub off on me sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse.
Fair.
But I mean, I've been around them since I was 17, So I guess really what happened was I had to grow up real fucking quick. Because I was on my own in Puerto Rico, right? Was in a tiny room for 18 hours of the day, on my own, teaching jiu-jitsu for something that's not guaranteed in the future. It's not a super easy life.
No, not at all. I mean, there's no job security in this because you're
Yeah.
one injury
It's not for
away from not
everybody.
being able to do everything.
It's not for everybody. The sport. It's really not. Everybody says I want to do jiu-jitsu professionally. No, you don't. You like the idea of doing jiu-jitsu professionally. You don't
Fair.
want to do jiu-jitsu professionally. It's like when you got mommy and daddy paying for your training and you don't want to drive a long time for training. You don't want to train hard and you don't want to supplement your training with extra stuff because you don't want to work. You don't want to do this. And I say that all the time, all the time. It's like you have like some random people which are like, yeah, I want to do this for a career. I'm like, do you? Do you really? Like, do you want to know how it's like to have your leg broken, like, and then tear out your shoulder, pop
And not
something
have
in it, be
insurance.
out, and not have insurance? And then like, do you like the idea of being a competitor? Or do you want to be a competitor?
Right.
It's like everybody wants to be the UFC heavyweight champion, right? But the amount of shit that has to go into being a UFC champ, not heavy, well, like any champion, in
Any
UFC,
champion.
it's like everybody wants to be a
How
UFC.
about make it to the UFC?
Yeah, make
People
it to
can't
the
even show up to class more
Correct,
than
yeah.
3 days a week.
Yeah, it's like even making it to the UFC, becoming a champ, like it's hard shit, dude. It's hard.
It's difficult. Has there been any kind of pull for you to other combat sports?
Not really. I'm
No.
content with doing jujitsu, right? Like
Because
MMA.
most jiu-jitsu guys at some point, especially nowadays, there's a lot more availability of things like combat jiu-jitsu where you can kind of dip your toe a little bit and see.
I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't I have no plans. I
Doesn't
have
draw, there's nothing about that. It's like sexy to you. Like, oh,
yeah,
that looks
it's
pretty
not
cool. Yeah.
like, like the idea of getting knocked the fuck out and
It's not
in
for
front
everybody.
of everybody, having them all see it, having it replayed on Instagram forever. Like,
Yeah, that can go one of two ways, right?
like getting submitted in a competition is one thing. Getting knocked the fuck out, dude, that's a different animal.
That
So
is.
it's gonna happen to everybody, no matter what. Like there's gonna be a punch you don't see, kick you don't see, that puts you away. So it's not really for me. Maybe. We have to see what happens,
What are you looking for those missing pieces in your game now, development wise? Because I mean, you're already in the top. You're
Just
perennial contender.
refinement over time, getting better at what you're good at, fixing certain aspects of the game, certain things that's like kind of hard to explain on camera, like certain aspects of wrestling, aspects of
Right, right.
jujitsu, like certain things that you need to refine and just constantly growing. Because I know that I'm gonna consistently grow in jujitsu, and if you're not growing, you're not getting any better.
For sure. But is there a mental aspect that is missing that might be a missing piece? Because physically you're not missing anything.
Yeah,
You're you have gone through some health issues,
yeah.
you
Oh
know.
yeah, we've gone through some
So
health
that's
issues.
that's
Yeah,
definitely that definitely keeps you from being able to finish the puzzle. But there's still, I think, with athletes, especially in something like this, there's so many highs and lows. There has to be a mentality shift there somewhere.
yeah. I think the thing is that I'm better than I think I am. I if there was something
You
which
feel
I
like you
needed to,
minimize your own skill level.
yeah, it's because I have such a, how do I say it? I have such a thing for perfection
Okay.
that if I don't reach perfection, I get very frustrated.
Mm.
And eventually I'll start to be content with what's going on. And that's going to help me out with my growth.
So that's something you're actively working on right now,
Yeah.
like being
It,
intentional with that.
yeah.
What kind of things do you do? I mean, I know because Donaher does this Q&A thing at the end of classes. If people
Yeah.
don't know that, that's awesome. That's something that those guys are spoiled. They have no idea how cool that is. Um, and one of the things you hear people every now and then, their questions come up about, getting mentally prepared for competition or getting mentally prepared for practice or whatever. And he's just very blunt with like, you have to be stoic in your
Yeah.
mindset. You can't let being anxious or being afraid of anything, just the same as you can't let yourself get excited and overconfident. You just have to be doing what you're doing and know you put the work in.
That's one thing, right? But that's easier said than done
100%.
because shit
So how do you
gets
apply that?
so the way that I apply it is actually a pretty unique method. I mean, I've heard it, but I've never really seen people use it. I just start thinking about how bad life can be, right? It's like,
Hmm.
do you have cancer? No. Do you have heart issues? No. Are you in Israel or Palestine or Russia or Ukraine fighting in a war? No. Like, do you have food on the table? Yes. Do you have a job? Like all these things that are real issues.
Hmm.
If you don't have any of those real issues, and most people don't have those real issues, then what are you really worried about? That's my two
Getting
cents,
tapped
right?
out in my pajamas
Yeah,
for a $2 medal.
but it's like that's not a real. All right, you're not in a fucking
Yeah.
in a ditch in the middle of Europe with AK-47 bullets being shot over your head, right? Like that's a real problem. That's a problem.
You
You
really
know?
you really think about things like that. You
Yeah, just think about how bad life can be. I'm in good health now. It's like I'll tell you what was bad was having rhabdo and nearly dying after ADCC. That sucked. That's a real problem.
So that's something now you're gonna add, like, hey,
Yeah.
you don't have rhabdo
You don't
right
have
now.
rhabdo, yeah.
You're not in a
I don't have rhabdo,
hospital.
that sucked, yeah. Competed with rhabdo and being in a state of rhabdo for 5 weeks before ADCC, that was fun. But the thing is what worked for me was, um, just imagining how bad things can be and asking yourself, "Why does this bother?" And then you realize it really doesn't hurt you all that much.
Is, is that the kind of stuff that you see yourself kind of imparting on students down the road?
Yeah, every time people ask me that at a seminar or at class, I tell them, "Hey, this and this," and they're all like, "Wow, I've never thought about it like that."
It really is simple.
Yeah. But it's true, right? Like, are you in a shootout right now? No. Shootout sucks. Shootout's a serious problem.
Yeah, ties and gunfights suck.
Yeah, that's a problem. No, you're not. So what are you really all that worried about?
I guess it's just this even more general version of telling my students like, hey, you're worried about this white belt. Is it a black belt? Is it a brown belt? Is he bigger than you? Is he smart? Is it this guy in class that beats you every day mercilessly? No, like, then what are you worried about? It's very simple.
That's my 2 cents.
What other kind of little nuggets, what are your soapbox speeches for your students right now?
Soapbox speeches for my students. Fuck. I don't know. It really depends on the student, right?
Some things I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've got students that, like, you go, "Well, who's your favorite jujitsu competitor?" And they, uh, uh, I have no idea. It's like, you don't have a favorite. Who's your favorite female competitor for the ladies? I can't tell you. It seems like there's a real disconnect from the hobbyists that are doing jujitsu because Joe Rogan told them to, because Jocko says it's a really cool idea, and the people that are doing it because they want to really have a deep appreciation, deep knowledge of the sport.
I mean, yeah, it's just different, right? Because even I'm that guy. Like, who's your jiu-jitsu competitor? I'm like, I don't know. Like, it really depends, right? Like, it everybody does things differently,
For
things
sure.
better, right? So I just think that everybody has their own way of viewing jujitsu, whether they just want to do it to get in shape, whether they want to do it because Joe Rogan told them to, whether they want to be a serious competitor. And there's no shame in not wanting to be a serious competitor.
No,
Being a
any
serious
any
competitor
reason's a good
sucks.
reason to
Yeah.
do something cool,
Yeah.
for
As long as
sure.
you're doing something.
Yeah, it's been something I noticed with a lot of people. It's I'm here, showing up was good enough, but not being really here, you know.
And honestly, look, if that's what they want to do, it's their lives. It's only their decision what they want to do.
You don't feel like, "Ugh, I got to get this person closer to what their goal was."
No, because you're never going to get them there. You're never going to get them there. The only person that could actually do a change in their lives is themselves.
Yeah.
So if they want to get there, it's up to them.
No, I feel like I definitely sometimes care more about people's goals than they do.
Yeah, that's an issue, and that's an issue that I have. But I realize that it's like it's never going to be your. You could only help steer the ship a little bit, but you can't pilot the ship.
Yeah,
So
100%. No, that's definitely a problem for me.
yeah,
So what would be next for you professionally?
couple professional jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Professional
Some that
tournament?
some that may or may not be named. So
Indeed.
we'll see. We'll
Hey,
see what happens.
so when things pick up for you, what are you going to change anything with the way that your regular schedule is, or you start doing any extra lifting? Do you do any other prep outside of just go to classes where you learn and get taught, and then go to classes that you're training and teaching?
Yeah, nothing's really going to change except for maybe prioritizing my rest and recovery a little bit more. Maybe teach a little bit less private lessons and spend more time with for myself. Maybe have somebody cover my classes. Um, I've been doing CrossFit. I
You're
love it.
doing CrossFit?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think CrossFit's the best workout ever. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I'll tell you that. Everybody likes to make fun of CrossFit, saying, "Oh, it's gay. Oh, it's that." I'm just like, dude,
I think just they don't
tell
like the
me how
programming, right?
tell me how gay you feel after doing a CrossFit workout because that shit is difficult. That shit is so hard. Oh my god, you're there just like dying, and then you got like a 40-year-old mom just like outlifting you in every aspect. You're like, wow,
This
I
happens.
suck.
This happens. No, that's for sure.
You know.
That's so really it's just everyday thing for you.
Yeah.
Normal.
I love it. I can't ask myself to do anything else.
Well, I mean, if you love it, it's not going to be like a job.
It's
It's
true.
still work. Still work.
It gets repetitive sometimes. There's highs and lows. There's times when I absolutely hate jiu-jitsu. I'm just like, fuck this sport, fuck the community, fuck the people, fuck the competitions, fuck the training, fuck everything about it. And then other times like, oh, this ain't that bad. I'm having a great time. I'm growing.
What do you hate about jiu-jitsu the most?
I don't know. I don't know.
So
It's
why
just it's just
what
it's
do you,
just a
what do you hate
compound.
about the what's the thing you hate the most about people that walk in the gym to train jiu-jitsu?
Man, anybody who walks into the gym to train jiu-jitsu, I don't hate them. I'm just happy that they're making a positive change in their lives.
So it's
You know,
nothing about
it's,
the
it's
people.
nothing. It's nothing about the.
It's
It's just
something about the sport itself,
no. It's just the. It's a compounding effect of everything, right? Like the training and then this. It just ends up becoming a grind sometimes.
like a burnout.
It's a burnout. Highs and lows. You're always going to have highs and lows. You can't get past that. But what's important is you have your discipline and you let your discipline carry you when your motivation doesn't.
Wow, that sounds like a really good Instagram meme right there.
What?
Should be your face, and then your discipline will carry you when your motivation.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's true. I'm not going to take credit for that. I forgot who I heard it from.
probably 30
million
30
people.
other
Yeah.
influencers right now.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. That to me has been the big struggle that I see is just everything you're saying is right, but it's just getting people to actually buy it.
It's just time, right? Jiu-jitsu is not for everybody, right? It's not like some people do jiu-jitsu, it just straight up ruins their lives, right? They end up falling in love too much with it, and then they end up taking away time from their family and their kids and their job. And then, some people start doing jiu-jitsu and they just start doing stupid shit. They're the guys which go to the bar every weekend and start getting into fights. And I'm the guy who's teaching the person which is getting into bar
Ugh,
fights and
yeah,
shit,
it's the
and it's
worst.
like then it ends up looking bad on me. So um I think that if you're meant to train jiu-jitsu,
It'll happen.
it'll happen.
Is there anything with the way that you run your school that you started now and the way that you handle your own personal life? Do you feel like you kind of with Donaher with the I'm here to teach you technique and strategy. I'm not here to be your moral compass because that there is kind of this big shift in jiu-jitsu now of the guys that you're paying them money to then stand up and give you all these live speeches for 30 minutes of class and everything when you could be training a lot and then maybe go ask that guy for advice if you respect his opinion.
And this is kind of where I don't necessarily see eye to eye with that on
Hmm.
John, because his thing is, I'm your jiu-jitsu instructor, I'm not your life coach, I'm not your moral compass. But if I had students which were doing stupid shit off the mats, yeah, sure, they're paying me for a service, but I don't have to provide them that service anymore.
Right.
If you're gonna be a dickhead off the mats, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore, you know? And I haven't had to do that yet, but if I just saw a student that was doing stupid stuff, look, yeah, you're paying me to teach you jujitsu, but I don't have to teach you.
Right.
So that's my thing. I don't think that you don't, because you're a black belt, you need to be like this person which gives all of your students advice and life speeches during jujitsu. I do think you should be keep your students accountable though.
For sure.
Like if your students doing stupid shit, like, hey man, the fuck are you doing? Get your shit together. And it's also, you're not supposed to be teaching those kind of people, because
Right.
do you really want to be teaching somebody something like this if they're acting like that? I don't think so.
Do you say teaching somebody something like this, speaking to the effectiveness of jujitsu.
Yeah,
So
I can
as
do whatever I want to the untrained person.
right.
So can you. It's literally like a joke. It's like playing with a baby. It's like, haha, what's that? Look, you get your finger. So, do you really want somebody that isn't responsible enough knowing that? Of course not. I don't want to have anything to do with that.
So with that, do you think that schools should do background checks?
Do I think schools should do background checks? I mean,
We have it in our waiver. Well, just like we have it on our waiver that everybody can be background checked, and anybody that's going to coach or even volunteer their time, like, hey, I want to help out with a class or I want to help out in open matter. Okay, cool. You're going to have to get background checked. You're going to have to be safe sport certified, like all these things like that. Like, is that something that you kind of might look into or that you think is necessary, especially nowadays when everybody wants to do jujitsu? It used to be the guys that were like motivated dudes, military, some police guys, professionals. And now it's just, if you're 30 years old, you've had the UFC your entire life and you
yeah,
just don't want to fight somebody.
I do think that background checks are a good thing, right? I do think background checks are a good thing, and for like nonviolent offenses, like, come on, just come train,
Right,
right?
right.
But then you also have people which have made mistakes when they were younger, just genuinely made mistakes, did
Fair.
something stupid, and they're just trying to make their lives better, and they've become a better person. I still think they should train. If you're a sex offender, fuck you, you shouldn't come train.
There we
But
go.
that being said, yeah, I do think background checks are a good thing for school. It comes into this thing of like, oh, people's privacy, but it's like, fuck your privacy. If you're on my mats, right? I want
Yeah.
to know what kind of person you are.
Yeah. I
So
don't think you have an expectation of privacy if you're going to be on top of a female and we find out you've put your hands on a female in the past.
that's a problem.
Like, yeah, that's a big
That's a
problem.
problem.
There's no
Yeah.
expectation of privacy there.
Yeah, I don't know what I think Henry Gracie might have started doing background checks on all the students
Hmm.
at his academy. I don't know if that's a widespread practice, but I do think it should be that. Actually, who does it the best out of anybody? Tim Kennedy,
Okay.
his school, Gracie Humaida. So
In Cedar Park and
It's Peter
Austin, yeah.
Park, yeah. So Tim's a great friend, and actually, believe it or not, Tim is the reason why we have Roca. So
But we have what?
he's the reason why we have Roca, the training facility. He invited
Oh,
us in
okay.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
His
Okay.
friend Rob owns a place. So Thank you, Tim, for that. But the way that Tim Kennedy runs it is like if you're an instructor at his gym, you get drug tested,
Yep.
you get background
Yep.
checked, and I think that's great, right? You drug test and background check your instructors, and he has a no fraternization clause with
Right.
his instructors. You can't like you get fired immediately.
Yep.
So it's just like the way that he runs the school is probably the best I've ever seen. Because if you're an instructor under his, you're not doing anything stupid because they got you background check, they got you, you could be drug tested, they got you can't do anything bad to your students. Like it's great.
Yeah.
All of it is watched.
We do the background check and we do the safe sport certification.
I
So
don't
that
know what that is. I'm sorry.
so safe sports like training coaches or people that are around youth sports and could be around any sport, but training them to be around same sex or opposite sex kids all the way through young adults and being able to recognize like signs of grooming, signs of abuse, duty on reporting for outcries. Like if they
Yeah.
say, hey man, like something happened to me the other day, made me feel uncomfortable. I mean, I feel like I feel like as martial arts instructors, as self-defense coach, like all those things, like we have a duty to help people, teach
Yeah.
them to help prepare, but also understand that some of that's going to be after the fact.
Yeah.
And you have to also be willing to go and step up and say something for somebody if you need to, instead of just going, oh, well, hopefully they'll call or
No,
that's
you
not
gotta stay
good.
proactive. I mean, the things you're saying are great, right? Like that's definitely the way that a jiu-jitsu academy should be ran. But then you also got greedy school owners that like that's a membership. That's like
That
$200
could
a
be
month right
off-putting.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be like another $200 a month that I lose, right? Like to some people, all they care about is the money. They'll just be happy to have anybody train, you know? So I completely agree with what you're saying though, in terms of background checks. I've never heard of safe. I mean, I've heard of safe sort certified, but I didn't know anything about like
What it
what
was.
it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
right? And
For,
I definitely think that should be in every academy.
I mean, if you're dealing with kids, 100%.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So any last little tidbits you could say, like if I was gonna want to train jujitsu, I've never trained before, what would be your pitch?
You've never trained jiu-jitsu?
Never.
I don't.
I mean, look at me. I look like shit.
Stop it. If you've never trained jiu-jitsu before, and I say you should train jiu-jitsu, imagine how nice it was not knowing anything and learning something for the first time. Now imagine never losing that feeling. Welcome to jiu-jitsu. You're constantly
Mhm.
growing, you're constantly learning. So if you want to constantly feel like you're doing something good and constantly getting better at something, no matter what the situation is, go train jiu-jitsu. And if you have a good school, one of the rules is of running a school, is always make sure people leave happier than when they came in.
Hell yeah. Dan, good stuff.
Of course.
Get
Thank
some
you.
seminar work in tonight.
Yes, let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Of course.